going from sitting to all fours and then into crawling. My baby's getting stuck. How do I help my baby? The problem is that's where got it laid out, the time dictated development. You're missing milestones, and the milestones you're missing is the grabbing the feet didn't happen really great. Rolling over was a little head heavy, but you didn't come to sitting through the back, and so the pelvis hasn't opened up the way it needs to. So you really didn't have great independent sitting. The independent sitting was a more bring it to me kind of thing than versus at crossing midline. And so that's where you're seeing that because of that, when the midlines don't open up the way that they're supposed to or come into function, right, the body is more unstable. And that's where you're seeing these kind of movements. Now, if I just took a glass, probably should have had it as a prop, and just shook it, right, that's a lot of movement going into it. Nah, I got to do it. Hold on. This is the fun part about being live, but you guys can wait. This is just a really good example of how the physics of movement lesson works. So if I'm moving, if we just took your son's movement and you look at the internal movement, because that's what everybody, when you're not getting development, you're not getting the internal movements. That's a lot of movement. That little bit of shake I'm giving the glass, that's a lot of movement that I've got to control. And so that's where he's bracing and he's going on around, right? Because he's weak with the weight transfer and the transitional movements and the rotation. Now you go, what does rotation have to do with it? Guys, I can have the same movements. Look how fast I'm going. I add rotation. Look at how I stabilize that fluid, right? That's why the earth is stable. That's why we're stable, because we are meant to have rotation. I know nobody wants to learn the science behind movement lesson, but it's that simple. If I'm here, I don't have rotation, right? I'm looking at a lot of issues with development because I can't create those movements. And so that's why we're here. That's why we go gentle, we go slow, we do the rotor bowl, we do those rotations that are here. So when your child, and again, I'm not worried about the cognitive, right? But I can tell you right now, looking at his movements, he did not come to sitting through here. So what you're doing is you're rolling over and he's pushing up into sitting, right? Which might still not even be the case with him. I have a feeling he's propped in independent sitting and then he's going into crawl. So there's no transition, right? I want transition. This is optimal. Transitioning from the back, coming up into sitting. That's optimal. This is not optimal. What's considered more typical, but still isn't correct because, live. Because when I'm doing something like this, I'm getting into W sitting, right? I'm having a problem there because now I've got to, again, get my legs out. I'm going to get what you're calling is stuck. But if I'm going from independent sitting, right, into all fours, again, optimal would be across the knees. Again, see how that pelvis opens up? Across the knees, right? Non-optimal, again, considered okay or typical, they go through the front. Right, and that's where again, look at my baby doll's legs are getting stuck. So is your child. If you go this way, see, they just rotate into position. If I go this way, they can get stuck, and now I've got to do that. So now what I have to do is get my legs out, and then I've got to go into my all fours, and that's where you're getting that kind of weeble wobble. So that's where you want to be concentrating on. I know you want the crawl, but we're going to concentrating on the independent sitting, right? We've got to, I see what I'm doing wrong here. My phone's a little bit out of balance. Sorry, guys. Normally back home I have my light ring, but I'm in Vancouver, so I just have a little thing here. So, but there, it's more balanced now. So, an independent sitting, what I want you to work on is we've got to open up that pelvis. Yes, I'm holding my baby doll's head. I kind of want you to do the same. I'm not holding the head. It's just light and stuff, but you're going to go where they can come over from sitting into all fours. He needs to have better transitioning skills. I really would be in the Fast Start program because then you would do the coming to sitting course and going into all fours, the crawling course. But that's where your child is getting stuck. But those kind of movements are going to continue to show up and be a problem, and we don't want the problem. So we're here to help, and we're here to guide and get more for optimal development, and that's where you need to be.